study the types of sewage, right? There's sewage water, foul waste, trade waste, and agricultural waste, right? Now let's go one by one. What is sewage water? What does sewage water mean, right? Sewage water is basically, all the contaminants that come from the kitchen waste. Basically, uh, in our home or in malls, the food court, in offices, right, or any food manufacturing unit, all the wastewater that comes from the kitchen adds up to sewage water.
The sewage water only contain liquids or all types of solids also?
There would be solids also. There could be little solid wastes also. It could have certain amounts of leftover food. It could have leftover food, right? It could have certain vegetables or fruit peels or cuttings also. It can have. It depends, because not everybody. It could have certain amounts of rice, which flows through our kitchen drainage, right? Because not every single grain of rice is thrown into the dustbin. A few flow in the drain as well. So these little solid particles also could be found. But basically, sewage water is everything, anything and everything related to the kitchen waste. Mainly liquid, but by chance there could be certain solid particles also found along with it. Correct? Each and everything that's been used in the kitchen. Okay, that's sewage water. Now what is foul waste?
Ma'am, the
Anybody?
one which is not used or which is not even useful.
So that is basically the water that
Ma'am,
comes
human excreta.
Yes, whatever water comes from the bathroom, right? It could be human excreta, anything and everything that has got a foul odor. Of course, even sewage water after some time can also have foul odor, but this is like right from the beginning only it has a foul odor. It could be urine, it could be human excreta, right? It could have, for example, if you go to a gaushala, what is a gaushala? This is an
Ma'am, I don't know.
animal shed or a cow shed basically. Gau means cow. Shala means where all the cows are kept. A horse shed or a cow shed where all the cattle are being kept. Right? So there, all the animal waste, on a daily basis, there are quintals of animal waste. Where does it all go? There also you will find there is a water body close by. So, there are these pipes, drainage pipes, which leads to those water bodies. So that also adds up to the sewage, foul waste.
Ma'am, next is like industrial waste.
Yes. Next is trade waste. Trade means industries, factories. Right? Industries, factories, manufacturing units. They could have manufactured anything, right? Plastics, cloth, metal, utensils, sports equipment, bedding, table chair, furniture, right? You would be surprised to know that even a furniture manufacturing unit requires water, right?
Ma'am, how?
Because the paints that you see, the varnish, they use something called a varnish, which is a very strong chemical, which is an alcohol-based chemical, right? They dilute it with liquid, right? There are certain kind of wood which is being treated with water. They are dipped in water for maybe a month or two or whatever, and then there's something called a seasoning. They season the wood like that, and then they keep the same wood for 2 months in sunlight. Then they would keep it in rainwater, so they would keep it in a cold weather, so that wood becomes seasoned, very rough and tough. Then they would clean and wash the wood. So every industry, factory, manufacturing unit, more or less 90% of them utilize water. Now, if they're utilizing water, they also have to throw the water, because not all the water is utilized. Right? Now, along with that water will come out obviously a lot of chemicals, a lot of toxic materials, right? Because if they're washing it away, that means it's not needed, it's not required, it has to be thrown. If it is thrown, that means it's waste. It could be toxic, it could be poisonous, but to them it doesn't matter. They're just throwing it out in a water body. They're not even thinking about the future, right? So that was trade waste. Agricultural waste is self-explanatory, right? These are all the waste water that comes from an agricultural land, which obviously, as we discussed, would have a lot of pesticides, would have a lot of herbicides, would have weedicides, right? It could also have certain fertilizers, which are leftover fertilizers, manure, right? This could have all these things. This could have all these constituents in a sewage water.
Agriculture waste is mostly filled with nutrients.
See, but then again, if these are all chemical waste now, especially these first fourthly, you know what, Priscilla? Nowadays, the chemical fertilizers, pesticides, whatever is being used, unfortunately, all of them are chemical waste. It, you know, for example, it could be good for the plants. It could cause a lot of fruitation. It could cause a lot of flowers,
Yes.
but it has a lot of side effects. It has a lot of side effects for the human body. You know, nowadays you will find the brinjal that is found in the market. It does not have any, you know, worms or insects. Why? Because they spray it twice every day with pesticide. Do you think this brinjal is good for us? Because if the chemical is because if the chemical is powerful enough to kill the worms, then it is powerful enough to cause damage for humans also. And they have sprayed this, you know, a brinjal, maybe it takes 2 months to grow from a flower to a brinjal. So 2 months, every single day, twice a day they have done. So 60 times they have sprayed. So all this chemical, yeah, so this
This is
vegetable,
senseless, but can this happen as because of the pesticides many germs are killed? Can the germs be killed inside our body?
see, it could be, you know, but then again, it's not required to kill them artificially, right? Because,
I know that. Can they be killed? Like, can that happen?
of course that can happen. That can happen, of course. But, you know, there are certain, the chemicals deposit in our body. It deposits in our liver and our kidney. And long term, it causes damage to our human body. You will find nowadays people, you know, they have a lot of stones in their kidneys. So
Yes, ma'am.
how come their kidneys all of a sudden used, our grandfathers never had stones, but of late it's so prevalent. Why? Because all the chemical laden fruits and vegetables that we are having is all depositing in our liver and kidney because they are filtering now the blood.
Yes, ma'am.
Our blood is also laden with chemicals. It can kill certain microorganisms which is there in our body, but parallel it is also causing a lot of damage to our body. There are certain, you know, farmers, you know, depending on what is the kind of fertilizer they use, there is something known as an occupational hazard, right? I'm sure either you must have studied or you will be studying
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
right? For example, you know, a person who will be using a lot of certain kind of fertilizer, look at his hands, you know, look at his hands and his
Yes,
fingers. You will find it is full of those psoriasis. You know, there's a disease called psoriasis, which happens due to overexposure of chemicals. He will have asthma, something called arsenic poisoning. You know, it was in India, there are certain parts in West Bengal, right, where the water was found to be polluted with arsenic, and that led to um, arsenic poisoning in certain villages, and they did not know why it was happening. And then they found that the river water that they have been using for drinking, it came all from those industrial waste, which had a lot of arsenic in it, which led to arsenic element. Yes, the element are explained as the 4 types of sewage.
The first that the sewage water It's the mainly the kitchen waste,
Very good.
the vegetable Dettol, and next it's the
No,
fall
one
waste.
second, one second. Udmana, normally what do? We normally throw the, vegetables, fruits, waste food, throw it into the dustbin. That is solid waste, right? But by mistake, it might come into the sewage water. So sewage water basically contains oil, curries, gravies, food waste, right? So don't say vegetable and fruit in the beginning, say oil, food waste, like leftover dal, a little bit of rice, milk which has got spilled or spoiled, you're throwing it, something like that. It's mainly liquid. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
All right. What is foul waste?
For waste, it's like the bathroom waste, or for animals the excreta, and for humans the excreta, that is the fall waste.
Yes. So urine, excreta, right? Dead bodies
Yes.
also. Yeah. So yes.
And trade waste are like it's the waste that comes from the industries, the chemicals, that's the factories, that's the trade waste.
Correct. So basically chemicals, pesticides, nitrates, phosphates
Yes,
and all,
ma'am.
metals. Yeah.
And agricultural waste, like um that waste like the pesticides, then the fertilizers, the herbicides, weedicides, so
Very good.
and manure, that's the agricultural waste.
Very good. Very